this okay? I don't want to be too political. Do my eyes look sleepy? Do we have a story to start with or something? So today we are talking about how love, according to 1 Corinthians chapter 13, is not proud.
So far we've said love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy, and love does not boast.
We haven't said that stuff like Paul did. Credit where credit's due.
We said it, but we said it after Paul said it, and Paul said it after God said it.
And God said it best.
Though we said it exactly the same way God said it. So what does it mean to be proud? If we don't want to be proud, we have to know what it means to be proud.
Okay, so at its heart, I think pride has to do with a faulty perspective of oneself. It's like looking at yourself in a funhouse mirror. A funhouse mirror
That's how my face looks at a funhouse mirror.
distorts perspective.
Yes.
It changes the way you see yourself. It changes the way you look. And how you look in the mirror isn't what you actually are. When I'm proud, I see myself with a distorted perspective, usually smarter or more important, more insightful.
Are you just listing all the things I think about myself? More talented,
More talented,
faster,
stronger
more capable.
than I actually am. Thinking about this in the context of a marriage, it's like you've got your spouse next to you in the funhouse mirror, but they happen to be standing at a place that in the mirror like makes them look smaller or fatter or like worse than they actually are.
Absolutely.
That is pride, right?
Yes.
Lightning round?
Lightning round.
Okay.
Moments when you have been proud in our marriage.
Oh, good grief.
When you insisted that the sugar had to be in the pantry and not in the refrigerator.
You're saying that was my pride. Listen,
That was your pride.
that's where the sugar goes.
And see, that's pride. You know best.
That's a good point.
Okay, so now give me one. When was I proud? They blur together. It's like
Love.
Wow.
No, love
Okay.
keeps no record of wrongs.
Oh,
babe.
come on, come
And
up with one, hun.
I've let go of all
Well,
of them.
think back. Find one.
Okay, so that one time you were beginning to learn how to edit video, and I had some things to share with you after seeing your product. Started to share them, and it didn't go well. There's a time, like a small freak out, like don't show me, or I can figure it out. It was not ideal.
I think parenting is a great opportunity for pride. When Justin thinks, I am a great parent. I know the things for the children. And I'm over here thinking, I am a great parent. I am the sage of parents for the children.
And then suddenly our approaches perhaps conflict. And all of a sudden, we gotta deal with the fact that maybe one of us isn't a great parent.
Or maybe both of us aren't a great parent, y'all.
Oh, that's the worst.
I think at the beginning of our marriage, this was one of our big struggles, was my pride. We had 2 infants.
So, which
He was
means
a
we'd
baby.
been married for 8 years.
Yeah, but I was making breakthroughs at this point.
I'm just saying it wasn't early in our marriage.
No, okay. For the first 5 years in our marriage, I was oblivious to the fact that I was proud, which means it was running rampant.
Oh, I'm not saying that.
A little bit, though.
No. I'm just... Sorry, I got a little choked up there.
We are riding in the car, and I said, honey, I need to tell you something.
She's wanting to shed some light on this dark part of herself and disclose
I think it's a revelation.
this secret that she's been holding.
I said, sometimes I think I'm smarter than you are.
And she left it hang this is a big moment of confession.
Yeah.
I looked at you and said, I know that.
I was starting to see myself more clearly, and that these opinions I had held about myself for so long were not necessarily true and might be getting in the way of me being able to have relationships with other people.
That's been the way pride has worked in my life, right? It makes you, it puts too much distance between you and other people.
Right, you're up here, everybody else is.
Exactly, and you're not the only one who senses it.
Pride pushes people away. Proud people tend to be lonely people. We don't trust other people for advice. We don't trust other people for help because proud people think they can do it best. And so other people aren't necessary.
Right, and here's why this is huge in a marriage. It's because in a marriage, the other people is your spouse. And so you've established yourself as this independent, I don't need anybody else person in a relationship that's predicated on partnership, reciprocity, and synergy. Look at the were you looking at the camera before or looking at me?
know.
Look at the camera once.
I have a headache. So, am I proud? Ask yourself these questions.
Diagnostic questions. Number one, how difficult is it for me to submit to other people?
How do you feel when someone tells you you're wrong or attempts to give you advice? Proud people don't like advice.
Question, how often do you compliment your peers? Your peers, not the people over you who you kind of like fanboy or fangirl about, not the people under you who you're not threatened by. How often do you compliment your peers?
And not compliment fishing for compliments back.
How much more do you like giving advice than receiving it?
How often do you ask for help?
That's a tough one for me.
I don't like to be seen as a person who needs help.
I know this is something that you say that you're working on, and I just want you to know that when you start to park the car, you just stop and give up and get out, and have me get out and get in the driver's side and park the car instead. I think that's a win.
How easy is it for you to say, I'm sorry, when you're wrong? When's the last time you were wrong? Because a lot of times proud people don't say they're sorry when they're wrong because they don't ever think they're wrong.
Yeah, and sometimes going back to the other one, they don't ask for help, not because they don't want other people to know they need help, but sometimes because they don't even know they need help.
No, they have no idea. How sensitive are you to constructive criticism? If you're proud, even if it comes in the absolute best way, smelling like roses, you're probably going to be a little bit sensitive to it. Like, so I taught college, and I would have to get student reviews in at the end of the year. I would give them donuts on review day to make sure I got good reviews. And so I would get great reviews. I'm not bragging. I got great reviews. I was a good teacher. And I'd get like 2 comments that were like barely picky. Like, I would be so angry. And I've got all this good stuff over here that people have said. And I don't care because I'm like, well, exactly, that's the truth.
When you respond to feedback in a certain way, people stop giving you feedback. Not because you need it less, but because they just don't want to deal with the hassle of it.
Justin would come and he would give me some piece of criticism where he'd say, hey, I'd really appreciate it if immediately I would flip it on him. And I would figure out whatever thing he was criticizing me about, surely this was because there was something wrong with him.
It was masterful. I was just like, sometimes I would think to myself like, oh, how am I the only one who's ever wrong?
Yeah,
It's
I
amazing.
could convince you. I mean, I was good at that.
You were. But
Yeah.
you're smarter than me, so.
Exactly.
Love isn't proud.
Love is not proud.
Right, so because it's just hard to love somebody when you're dealing with a bunch of toxic pride in your heart.
So pride doesn't ask for help. Pride says, I can do it myself.
Yeah, pride doesn't like to say, I'm sorry.
Pride always underestimates the other person, assumes they can't come through, they can't do the thing they've promised to do, they won't show up.
Pride doesn't compliment peers.
Pride does not say thank you, because I didn't need that thing you gave me.
Not a lot of thank yous, not a lot of I'm sorry's, not a lot of could you help me's.
Obviously, pride is busted, and it's going to keep you from loving another person well, and it's going to keep another person from loving you well. Pride always creates distance.
Yeah. So the answer to these problems, these pride problems,
Yeah, what is the answer?
humility.
If 1 Corinthians 13 says love is not proud, it could just as easily say love is humble. So a proud person sees themselves in the funhouse mirror and sees themselves as bigger and everybody else as smaller. And we can be tempted to think a humble person sees themselves as small and everyone else as bigger. But that's not the way it is. A humble person just sees things accurately. You see yourself as alongside other people instead of above other people.
It's the opposite of pride, but it's also the answer to pride. It's something that can be cultivated and eventually start to eclipse pride, I think, in our hearts and minds.
For sure.
Humility is really understanding that your talents, your strengths, your resources, none of them came from you. And they're ultimately not for you.
I think the other thing to remember with humility is that there is no shame in fake it till you make it. That's the way I have ended up out of pride, forcing myself to go through the motions of humility. So saying I'm sorry, forcing myself to be, I know you don't feel like you're wrong, I know you don't feel like you did anything wrong, but let's think this through, you probably are. Just deciding, I'm gonna say I'm sorry. Deciding to ask for help. I know I can cover this, but you know what? I'm just gonna ask for help because I'm supposed to. So I ask for help. I say I'm sorry. I say thank you. I try to like intentionally take criticism. I'll walk into it knowing I'm gonna hate this, and and I'll just tell myself, just pretend they're right.
Just pretend they're
Yeah, like pretend they're right. They're probably wrong. Of course they're wrong. Just pretend for a second they might be right.
Set yourself up for success with the criticism and go ask for it. That makes it so much easier to receive if you've gone and sought it out rather than somebody has been thinking about it long enough to now seek you out.
Yes.
You just set yourself up for success and ask, hey, what could I do to be better? What would you do differently if you were me?
You work your way into being humble. Push yourself out of it. And the other thing to do is to pray and ask for help.
Because
right?
remember, love is a gift.
It is.
Fruit of the Spirit that God grows in us as the Spirit dwells in us. And this is something that we should be praying for. Like, God, help me to not be proud. If you just think like, I don't know if I need to work on humility or need to work on my pride, I don't know if it would make that big a difference. Trust me, it would make a big difference to your spouse.
Your homework this week is to say each of these 3 sentences at some point during the week. Ready?
Each sentence one time?
Yes.
Okay, so first sentence, I was wrong, I'm sorry. I was wrong, I'm sorry.
There's a semicolon in there. Makes it 1 sentence.
Okay.
Second sentence, thank you.
Thanks. And number 3, I need help.
I need help. That's it. Just those 3 sentences. Say each of those 3 one time this week, and you're good to go. A+. The winner! We need to do the winner from last week's giveaway.
Right.
What hashtag do we tell people to use?
And then the Love Stuff homework. So we're choosing the winner of the homework from a couple episodes ago.
We're going to send you a $15 Starbucks gift card to have a tiny date.
Go wild. So I'm going to choose
You're gonna
by
choose.
putting my hand on the screen.
Yes,
at
put your hand
random.
on the screen at random. He doesn't know there are pictures
Okay.
over here of your homework
All
assignments.
right, I'm going to reach right here.
Okay, so that is Emily Van Hook.
Congratulations, Emily. And
Emily Van Hook.
to Mr. Van Hook, you guys are in for a real treat. Hey, if you haven't subscribed yet,
You should do that.
throw down on that subscribe button. We would love to send you these videos when they come out. We are
Yes.
tracking through all of 1 Corinthians 13. Okay, not all of it, that one passage about love. And just talking about what love is and how love acts in an interest to help us to be better at loving in our marriages.
Yeah,
and
love's the most
otherwise.
important thing.
Feel free to
If I
share.
don't see those subscribe numbers climbing through the roof, I'm out.
Feel free to share this with anybody you feel like might be proud and doesn't yet know it.
Yeah, share this with tag all your proud friends.
Or you could surreptitiously send this to your spouse and be like, hey, check out this video. I want to do better at this.
That's good.
And then they watch it and they're like, oh, maybe I need to do better too. And
Yeah.
you're like, what?
But then they also come home and they're like, you're right, honey, you are proud. I'm so glad you're working on it. So be ready for that.
Love ain't proud. See y'all.
Bye.